G'day, it's Simon at South OC Cars and Coffee. Hey, no James this morning. He is off doing something else, which means I've got to run the video on the show. And I don't know nearly as much about exotics as he does, so I'll just have to make stuff up as I go along. I tell a lie, I do know a little bit. Anyway, great turnout today, some amazing cars. There's some other shows on. I thought it might have impacted our turnout, but not at all. There is everything you can think of here, some pretty cool stuff. There is exotics, a brand new Ford GT behind me. There is an amazing old classic Maserati, and there's this rat rod that just came in with a blow-in small block in it, which is absolutely killer. Hey, don't forget, if you're coming to South OC Cars and Coffee, please remember to respect our rules. No speeding, no revving, no burnouts. That includes getting on and off the freeways and on the streets of San Clemente as well. Tons to see. Let's go for a walk and check some stuff out. Starting the front row with my Camaro. I don't really talk about this very often. There's too many other cars to talk about, but I'm here and I always get asked what's done at the Camaro. Well, I bought it brand new in 2010. It's still got the original block, the original LS3, but as you can see by the sign, it's got male 10-to-1 pistons, Manley H-beam rods, it's got a custom grind comp cam, it's got comp cam push rods, lifters, valve spring, it's got a Whipple 2.9 Gen 4 blower on there running around about 14.5 pounds of boost, making about 1,020 at the crank. So it's 4 Innovations fuel system, FIC injectors, Mantic twin plate clutch, Hurst shifter, Monster RX catch can, CAI intake on it, cold air intake. There's a ton of stuff done to it, a couple of gauges on the hood, Anderson Composites carbon fibre hood and rear trunk lid as well. They are autometer chronograph gauges under there, and on the front and the back running some forged line wheels on the back, obviously bead lines, so they're 17-inch bead lines with 305 45 R17s. Next to me, new Ford GT. Isn't this thing beautiful? This thing's been put into race mode, as you can see, because notice the rear fin is up, but such a pretty car. The design on these things really interesting, the way that it cuts through here. When you look at these cars and where their original legacy comes from, the original GT40, they've really tried to keep within the same style cues, and I think they've done a wonderful job. I still struggle with the fact that it's got a V6, it's twin turbo. I get why they did it, I totally understand. I feel the same way about the new Artura. I feel the same way about the new Ferrari 296, and the same way about the MC20. I want a supercar to have a V10 or a V12 or maybe a twin turbo V8. But I get why they're going that way. Just for me, there is no substitute for cubic inches. Great lineup of McLarens through here, starting with 720S onto one of the new 750S's, obviously the replacement for the 720. A little bit sleeker in the lines, very similar. Nice wheels on this. Look at all the beautiful carbon fibre all the way at the top, through the back. Very, very pretty. Very nice the way they've done all of this through here. Next to it, the Artura. Of course, this is the replacement for the 570. They've gone to a V6, talking about that earlier, V6 twin turbo hybrid. Sort of schools out for me whether or not I would want to do that. And then next to it, I think this is a 570 GT. I need James here, 570 GT I think. And then next to that we got Tim's 720S, and then another 750S here, and another 720S. Yeah, so quite the lineup. Tim's of course in this this purple colour, which he really wanted to get, and the gold wheels he got custom made from HRE. So he searched the whole country to get this particular colour, which is kind of cool, and then matched it with those gold wheels. Makes it very unique. Now, as I walk through the show, Jackson, who's one of our long-term volunteers, I'd heard you'd come here with someone very special, but you want to tell us who we've got here with us?
Yeah, so this is Alvin. He owns a Porsche racing company called Andal that goes way back and has won a lot on a lot of races.
with race history, really the beginning of Porsche Motorworks in America, correct? Motorsport.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. So when did you start?
We started Endal in 1975 with two partners,
Right.
Peter and Arnold, and we actually became not only on the street cars Endal, but we hit the racing circuit, and we dominated during the 80s the IMSA circuits with the 962s.
That is so awesome.
And then in 1990, I took over Porsche Motorsport,
Wow.
and I built that up. And in 1997, I changed from Endal to Porsche Motorsport and retired in 2004. But I'm still working as a consultant for Porsche in the new program, the Porsche Penske 963 IMSA program.
That is amazing. Well, I mean, you've lived your whole life. You can't just step out of that, can you?
No, but like on the other hand, it's a two-sided sword. Because one thing is good for Porsche, because my knowledge, my connections, that works. And for me, it's good because it keeps my brain going and keeps the thing going. So it's a win-win situation, the way I look at it.
Well, we really appreciate you coming here, but you've also brought a very special vehicle with you today. Let's talk about that. So what do we have here in front of us right now?
That's 911 ST. That's a special program in respect to the 911, the 60 years. So it's from 1963 to 2023. And they built 1963 versions of the car, and it is limited edition. And the United States and Canada, I think altogether there were about 530 cars. So it's something like what Porsche does in these special cars. They give you an allocation.
Yes.
And you have to be happy that you get an allocation.
Yeah.
And I was lucky to get one. It's really a special car. It's a race car for street. But it doesn't have the wings. It doesn't show you when you see the car from the outside completely, or you have a chance to look at an AST beside the little video. But later on, Simon will show you that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't give you the impression like the RS, like it's a race car. But it acts like a race car, and it has an engine, transmission, the brakes, everything is racing. So it's a supercar.
It's really, really understated, which is what we love. The interior is so beautiful, and you've got your own little personal, which is just so cool. But even the back of it, like the back of it, even looks more subtle than a GT3 Touring. It's so wonderfully understated. And as we said before, it's like when Porsche brought out the 911R, which had all the really good bits of a GT3 and RS, but then it was put into this very subtle car.
That's exactly.
Which makes it special. And I love the interior on this thing, because even though it's race car, it feels touring, it feels elegant, it feels classy, and it definitely doesn't feel boy racer. It's got that really wonderful look.
It's a cheap involved skin. I tell you that because, like you can drive the car on the freeway. When we came down here with Jackson, like 70 miles, 6 gear, it drives like a street car.
Yep.
It's quiet, it doesn't make any noise, it's not too hard from the suspension. But when you need it and you want to go back in third gear or what, it's remarkable, the acceleration or anything else.
It's awesome.
Supercar.
It goes.
It is. Well, hey, we really appreciate you being here. You've always got a place to come. Southwest Cars and Coffee. Jackson's, thank you for making this happen. Really appreciate it.
Got it.
Awesome.
And you have a nice operation here. It's the first time that I see it. Very impressive.
I thank you for saying that. Thank you.
Just like the street lights lit this town, like a fire in a blaze, gotta burn.
This thing caught my eye the minute it drove in. It is so pretty. This is a Maserati Bora. They made these from 71 through to 78. This particular one is running a 4.9 litre engine, which is what they used here in the US. I was just talking to the owner about it, asking him some questions. So it's a overhead cam motor, 4.9 litre, but the design of this, look at the spare wheel sitting in there in the back, and these beautiful big glass panels. But that wonderful interior with these stitched leather through here, and the leather trimmed dashboard with the instrumentation in front of you there. Very, very clear and easy to read speedo and tack. just a wonderful looking car. Look at that, the stereo over on the left-hand side. I like that. If all cars had the stereo on the left-hand side, that would mean your passenger can't mess with your radio station. What a great idea. But just so many things about it. The wheels are very interesting. Just the whole design of it. It's, without trying to sound sexist, it feels like a real gentleman's supercar of the era. That sort of understated, very minimalistic in its design, not trying to be sort of overbearing. Just a beautiful design. There's so many wonderful cars around this era. For me as well, if you look at the Lamborghini's Miura, same sort of thing. Wonderful, wonderful car.
That's breaking out. Can't make a stop. Can't turn back.
We had a BMW club reach out to us, and there are BMWs all the way from one end of the road to the other end of the road. Remember, if you're at a club and you want to bring to South OC Cars and Coffee, please reach out in advance on our website or through Instagram. We can bring you in early, get you all parked together in a prime location so you can make the most of the day.
Sunrise, you know that we gonna light it up tonight. We gonna light it up, babe. Tonight, we gonna light it up just like the sunrise. We gonna light it up.
We got a message through our Facebook page this week. Brian, whose dad has won more Cars and Coffee than anybody else, told me he just got his Jeep back on the road. So much stuff done to this. Look at the front bumper, Smitty built winch on there. Nice looking Pro-Comp wheels in there. Look at all these inner fenders, different suspension, everything's changed with this thing. Seats look really nicely done. These replacement for the doors. There's so much you can do to these Jeeps. The sky is the absolute limit, and it's great to see that they've got such a cult following. It just looks so good with so much stuff. Look at the spotlights across the top as well. Very, very cool. Good job, Brian. Have a look at this thing. Super tough. I just got the zoomies in my face and blast the hot air. Small block shed. Looks like an 871 blower on the top of that. That is super cool. Couple of double pumper Hollies up there. Very cool. Is something you don't see every day. A classic Toyota Cressida. You know, these cars back in the day, at least in Australia, these were sort of the middle-level managers' cars with a lot of different companies. But this one's had a little bit of a heart transplant, as we can see down there. Sir, what did you say that motor was out of?
A Toyota Resto.
And now it says they're twin turbo. Obviously, it's got a bigger single turbo on there. What sort of horsepower is it making?
500 to the ground.
500 to the wheels. Good Lord, that's a lot of. It's got a nice looking catch can that you've done on there. Nice looking intake on it. Big intercooler on the front. Nice looking Aeromotor fuel system. You haven't taken any shortcuts on this thing.
It's a Ford 8.8 rear end and a T56 6-speed.
That's so awesome. And yet, nice little touches. You can tell because it's left-hand drive, US delivered car, but the Japanese style mirrors on it. Love these wheels. Just these are the iconic looking JDM style wheel, which looks super cool. And then for me, the finishing touch, having ridden in Japanese taxis, is these seat covers, which you'll typically find on a lot of the Japanese cars, Japanese taxis in particular. But look at that velour trim. These were a really plush looking car back in the day. I can remember when these things were new, showing my age. Hey, good job, mate.
Thank you.
Nicely done. This is a pretty radical build. You know, when I first looked at it, I thought it was like a Survivor build, but the closer I got, the more it appeared. Somebody's built this to, I'm guessing, autocross. It looks to me like about a 1962 Ford Falcon. Obviously started its life as a station wagon, but you'll notice that it's now a two-door. So you can see the original line. See where the original back door used to be? That was the line through there, but the back door's gone. So they've either extended, taken some off the door and welded it on, or they've actually just used the doors on the two-door coupe. I don't think that's the case, because I don't think the coupe would have had that sort of top pillar as thick as it would have been. But look at the quick release latches on the front of it, the hood scoop. You come around, the other telltale that this thing's serious, there's some little things on here like kill switches, massive like two-piece Brembo brakes sitting in there with massive calipers as well. And then as we come through, check this out, the interior is out of a modern Mustang GT350. So look at the dash, instrumentation, even the seats have got GT350, the center console, the shifter. So somebody's taken effectively what's a GT350, dumped the body of a very, very custom and wide-bodied, as I said, I'm guessing 62 Falcon on top of it. There's some serious work that's gone into this thing.
Perfect lie. Makeup is out, naturals in, letting my skin glow out. Yes, you can shit if you don't like this. You still live in your man's world. I'm not gonna spend the night. I'm talking. You got bad things on your mind. Keep walking. Spit your words on some.
Now, bad luck if you've got a modern home with an average garage, because this baby is not going anywhere close to fitting in it. This is, guys, what did you say it was, 61? Yeah, I thought it was. Oh, there's so much detail and there's so many little things about these early Cadillacs people don't appreciate. Let's start with the grille, for example. Do you know that this grille is individual pieces? All of these little pieces can come apart, and each one of those pieces has a specific place that it has to go back. So you pull one apart and then you can't get it back together, well, good luck. Massive, look at the chrome on this thing, it's just absolutely huge. It's, look at the seats, she's a bit of a survivor, hasn't had any sort of resto happening to it, but the chrome and the back bumper on this thing, and those massive fins, this was the era, the end of the era in fact, for big fin cars. Pretty cool, huh? Now, going back a couple of decades earlier, this is a 49 Caddy. And equally, in its era, this was the bomb. This was the thing to have. This was the US's answer to Rolls-Royce, Bentley, all those other brands that were sort of touting themselves as the world's best car. If you had a Caddy, you were it, especially this thing. This is a two-door. But once again, look at these fins. This was kind of the beginning. We saw the end of the fins before. This is kind of the beginning of when these big fin cars sort of first started. And of course, that iconic Cadillac badge, it's still relevant today. What a great car. I mean, look at the interior of this thing. You got a wonderful analog clock over there, a push button radio, and I don't know if that would have been original. I'm guessing that's probably something added aftermarket. It's probably something that actually stream music to it. But the instrumentation over there, absolutely wonderful. Cadillac, not really the brand they used to be, but man, back in this era and the era over there, they were really something to behold. Oh, this is my sort of car. This is a 32 Highboy. What a great looking car. Why is it a Highboy? Well, it's sitting up on the chassis. It's not dropped down. Notice all the clearance underneath the thing. So many cool things about this car, starting with those bias plier Firestone tyres, front and back. A beautiful black paintwork, which is absolutely immaculate. And then the contrasting of that tan top. Then you come into the interior, look at these aluminum, or as I would say, aluminium buckets. Almost, I would say, helicopter military style design. A really simplistic steering wheel, which I love. A sort of period correct tack in there, and the rest of the gauges in there, all Stuart Warner gauges. Simple push buttons, really, really clean. Polished brass hinges, which look amazing. That back bar, you know, it's not stuff really mess with. Notice the little blue dimple in the lights in there. That's so that when you turn the tail lights on, they almost glow purple, which looks kind of cool. This is a great looking car. No fenders on it, just bigger wheels on the back, smaller on the front. Looking in the side of it, just trying to see it. Oh, it's a flathead as well. I can see the Oppenheiser head in there as well. So this thing's actually running a flathead V8, which to me checks all the boxes. Period correct head, period correct motor, beautiful looking hot rod. This would be something I'd be proud to cruise down the street in.
I'm here and I'm feeling exaggerated, that's what you assume. The story's over now, I must.
DeLorean, what an iconic car, obviously made famous with Back to the Future, but even without that, I'm sure anybody looks at it will know that this is a DeLorean. Now, if you haven't watched the documentary on John DeLorean, I highly recommend it. It is incredibly interesting. He was obviously one of GM's top designers, and he had a vision to build his own car. GM wouldn't back it, so he went out on his own. Now, the interesting thing, to build what he wanted to build, he didn't have the funds to do it, and he also wanted to live the lifestyle of an incredible playboy, big place in New York. So he set up a factory effectively in Ireland, right on the border of North and South Ireland. And of course, when these were being built, there was a war going on Ireland between the North and the South, the Protestants and the Catholics. And he built this factory with doors, basically entrances, gates coming in from either side of that border. So you had people from opposing sides coming to work, getting along great, then going out the other side, and of course the war was back on. But the things that this guy did, the money that he embezzled from the government, because the government kept pouring money into it because they didn't want the factory to fail because it employed so many people in a village that had high unemployment. So they kept giving him money. He kept going to New York and spending it on, well, wine, women and song, and a little bit of other substances as well that he shouldn't have been doing. Anyway, beside all that, interesting, uses a Lotus chassis. One of the problems with the car is the chassis is actually, it's starts out, comes together, goes back out. It tends to twist, and then if I'm not wrong, it's a Renault derived engine in the back of it as well, underpowered unfortunately. Hey, the concept was good, the stainless steel. I mean, you cannot tell me that Elon Musk didn't get his inspiration from the Cybertruck from this thing, but I'll tell you what, this thing looks a heck of a lot better all these years later than the Cybertruck does. And you know what, I bet this thing will be running long after the Cybertruck has gone to the electrical appliance factory. It must be the classic Cadillac day today. Check this thing out. Driven in forwards. I'm glad it didn't keep going. I mean, man, this thing would annihilate any wall. These things are so solid. The steel on these things are so thick. Classic old Coupe de Ville. So we're kind of in the middle of those two eras we looked at before. I've shown this car before, wonderful again because it's a two-door, but the magic eye that's here, some of the first that Cadillac did. So that used to dip the headlights when a car came the other direction. You think about that, back in this era, to think of that sort of stuff. They had electric seats, they had automatic wipers, all sorts of stuff back in the day with these cars. They were such ahead of their time. Very cool. That is it for another week at South OC Cars and Coffee. Thank you so much for watching. I want to do a big thank you to all of our sponsors, to the Bracketeer, Wear Marketing, Mazda, Maguire's, Eye Accident Attorneys, Next Level Auto Protection, Sierra, Ineos Grenadier, Carbontastic, Happy Jewelers, and our newest, Beckworth Financial. And a massive thank you to all of our volunteers. We could not do the show without them. Remember, if you'd like to become a volunteer, hit us up on our Instagram at South OC Cars and Coffee Merch. That's where we handle all of our amazing merchandise, hats, t-shirts, hoodies, you name it. Or check us out on the website. There's also a form on there you can fill out as well. Remember, if you become a volunteer, you get to bring your car in early, and Ruby's hooks you up with a free coffee and donut as well. A big thank you to Ruby's for doing that. We really appreciate that, and also feeding the masses. And also a massive thank you to the outlets of San Clemente for allowing us to be here as well. Remember, if you need to do any shopping, go to the movies, grab a coffee, to a restaurant, whatever, go to the outlets, tell them South OC Cars and Coffee sent you. Well, that is it. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, follow and subscribe. We'll see you back here next week for another South OC Cars and Coffee.